What's up, everybody? Happy Monday and welcome to the Early Edge. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I see James Valdez, Mark Buckholtz, Rob, Nick Castrucci, CID in the chat. Thank you for being in here. If you have any picks you like today, especially in baseball, let us know. Put them in the chat. Also, hit the like button if you could. Judah Baker says, good morning, fam. Good morning to you as well. Not a great Saturday. Let's take a look at the recap screen. A lot of these were some UFC picks, and let's keep in mind, these were a lot of them at plus numbers. Dustin Poirier by KO. That was sort of a corollary to the guy who actually won, if you watched that show. So we hit the plus 100, losing the plus 700s and the plus 210s. Overall, though, we want to see more green check marks than this, and we're going to do it today. We're going to do it with the stars of the show. This is going to be, as you might expect, a baseball intensive show. We're doing it with Propstarz. We're doing it with Amags. And gentlemen, I'll say this, it's a big baseball day, right? Well, the rest of the week, we are going to be talking about other sports. We're going to be setting up some futures, talking about the NBA finals, of course. We've got the early wedge tomorrow at 7 o'clock. A lot of other sports to talk about. But Amags, I got to go to you first because you can't be mad. You, of all people, can't be mad at the fact that it feels like it's a baseball day today.
Yeah, you say a big day of baseball. And I guess in terms of all sports, like you kind of have to go to baseball and you bet on it, but a little bit of a smaller slate too. So even when the other sports are, in that little bit of a lull, like this Monday, this open Monday doesn't have a ton of baseball either. So, maybe spend some time with your kids tonight or something.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. This would be like the week or maybe the couple days to pretend that the key is to pretend there's like big games on and still spend time with your significant other and your kids and be like, no, I'm sacrificing these big games to hang out with you, and two birds, one stone. All right, Proppy, are you excited about the MLB slate today? By the way, I see things changing on the fly here. I have a pick, by the way, Amags, maybe you can do some research for me on the fly. I have a pick that I'm not going to give out right now, but I have a pick on this Diamondbacks game at 9:40 tonight. And at least on one side, I see they took the pitchers off. So I hope I don't run into the same situation I did last week when I gave out a pick and then a pitcher got scratched. So I'll be looking at that. But on the mound, I think we had Howard and Ryan Nelson, something I'll look into before I give out my pick. But I do really like an angle in that game. We'll wait and see who the starting pitchers actually are. Proppy, you excited? We got MLB. I know you're already immersed in the NBA streets because we've got the NBA finals coming up, but it's MLB picks today, right?
It's the MLB picks today. Sia, I live for the grind 24/7, 365. We take no days off over at Propstarz HQ, so I'm fired up. Even with a small slate, we've got some good spots that I like, and I'm always working for the NBA, MLB, NFL futures, all sorts of fun stuff to dive into.
Less than 100 days, well under 100 days until we get football back. So really looking forward to that. Big Cheesy says San Francisco money line hammer. Very interesting. You know my takes on Ryan Nelson, so I'm hoping he pitches tonight. I'll give the pick out later. All right. Hey, Mags, you pointed to the Yankees hat. We've got a couple of picks. I don't know that they're Yankees picks, but we got a couple of picks in baseball from you today. You're going to lead us off.
Yeah, I just wanted to rub it in a little bit there on Big Cheesy. He had said to take San Fran money line maybe 2 days in a row, definitely on Saturday, and didn't really work out. Yankees end up sweeping his San Francisco Giants. So happy about that. Had to rub it in a little bit. But yeah, I'll lead you off here. And first pick, I really like the odds on this one. And, we already kind of before the show, we're talking about Tyler Anderson a little bit. But we're going to get plus 120 on Ha-Seong Kim over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs today. Now, I think that this is a really interesting spot for a multitude of reasons. First off, when you look at Kim this year versus the last couple of years in the majors, he's below 200 in his batting average against lefties, but last couple of years, 275, 300 average. He was, very solid against lefties. And then you kind of look at where those numbers come from this year. I had to write it down. Listen to some of these names he's faced from the left side this year. Chris Sale, Jesus Luzardo, Nick Lodolo, Max Fried. He had Shota Imanaga. He had Steele, Rodon, Reagans. I mean, just some tough lefties that he's faced that have created these numbers. I think that helps to get this number to plus 120, which we know is kind of on that upper tier of hit run RBI. He's 5 for 15 against Anderson. I think Anderson is a big regression candidate, but even without that, just if you were taking him against a lefty that you think is kind of subpar, plus 120 is nice. I think that we do have the Padres in a good spot against Anderson tonight, so I like that that play there. And then secondly, this number I think is just a little bit off. We're going to go to Grayson Rodriguez over 1.5 walks. I got it at minus 120 on Caesars. Now, it's a little bit interesting here with the walks because he's averaging almost 2.5 walks for his last 10 or so starts, and really at least getting you to 1 walk. So I think that at minimum you should be at 1 here, and then you put into play that you're against Toronto. He's on the road. There's a few factors here when you look at the lineup too, that if you get a couple extra lefties in there, like a Kavan Biggio or Kevin Kiermaier, Grayson Rodriguez has walked lefties more often, so that may help to actually juice this number even further. So if you see that lineup come out and you can get to it, if you wanted to wait, I wouldn't wait. I think this number should be at least around minus 145, minus 150 to get a second walk tonight. And if you go on the website, check out one of Proppy's picks. I think maybe it kind of backs me up a little bit here.
Oh, I love that. I love teasing the website. By the way, I forgot to mention, well, 2 things. I don't want to forget to mention this. It appears that it's Kalo de Rockstar's birthday. First of all, I love the screen name so very much. Happy birthday to Kalo. I see people in the chat already wishing him a happy birthday as well. Speaking of SportsLine, I do want to rep out Phil Bobbitt, who's been on this show before. And frankly, last time he was on this show, he was kind of the victim of some poor circumstances with some crashes in the NASCAR race where he had some head-to-head picks. Well, does anybody want to guess? Amags, he had 14. Maybe you already know this because you read the article and you cashed in. He had 14 head-to-head matchups. At least that's what I recall. Do you know how many of those 14 he won in yesterday's NASCAR race?
I know he's good, Sia, and I would have to think it's at least 10.
Yeah, it's a good guess. It's 11. He was 11-3. And Proppy, guess what? Guess who picked the winner as well at 28-1 in the very same article?
My man, Phil.
My man, Phil. My second favorite Phil of all time, behind, of course, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. Phil Bobbitt was absolutely on fire yesterday. And that's what we say when we come onto the early edge. We're like, hey, these are our picks, but SportsLine has so much more to offer. This is just a sampling of some of the stuff you can get on SportsLine. If you want to join, it's super easy. Go to sportsline.com/join. You type in the promo code winners and you get 60% off the annual plan. You'll get Phil Bobbitt stuff. You'll get Mike McClure stuff. You'll get all the picks from Amags and Propstarz and whoever else has picks, whoever else has been on this show. My golf article is on there as well. So definitely get to SportsLine right now to get all of the picks. Really huge props, huge ups to Phil, because that's an extreme, especially in NASCAR of all sports, that's an extremely impressive record. All right, speaking of SportsLine, we got a SportsLine pick. And Amags, I'm going to kick this off to you real quick, because I could have sworn you just mentioned Tyler Anderson, regression candidate. Well, the SportsLine pick is the Padres money line, minus 122. This game is at around 9:40, 9:38 Eastern Standard Time. We've got Waldron on the mound against Tyler Anderson. Listen, I'm not asking you to back the official pick necessarily, but how you feeling about this SportsLine pick, Padres money line?
No, I do actually like this pick. As I mentioned, I think Anderson is a regression candidate. The expected ERA is 2.5 runs higher than his actual ERA. The BABIP is rather low. Some of the underlying metrics, I guess we would say, just kind of point in the direction that he's not as good as some of those face value numbers. Minus 122, it doesn't seem like that bad of a price. I was looking at the team totals to see, I didn't really love the team totals. They seemed a little bit higher than maybe I would want to bet. But I was looking at them, because I do like this side, and my hitter prop is on this side. So,
by the way, Amags, David Talk was in the chat and he said, Yankees always start out great. He says he's a Yankees fan and they always fade at the end. So I don't need you to respond to that. I'm going to ask Proppy this as well. Who wins the AL East? I believe the Orioles at this point are 3 games back. It's a 2-horse race at this point. Is it the Orioles that win the AL East? I'm asking on June 3rd, a little unfair, or the Yankees?
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go with the Yankees.
Well, Amags, do you agree?
Yeah, I would have to think that it'll be maybe a little bit closer than it looks right now. The Yankees look pretty dominant, but you get Garrett Cole back. It's a really big piece. I think that it could be the Yankees here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Orioles, ladies and gentlemen. Just to be contrarian, I also grew up an Orioles fan. David Talk asks, Sia, did you bet Robert McIntyre? I did not. I did not bet him at 90-1 to win last week's tournament. I had a few other guys that were kind of in contention. I had a live bet on Sam Burns. Didn't work out. All right, if you want to make golf bets that we put out on the early wedge tomorrow at 7 o'clock, or any of these baseball bets, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to my pick, and then Proppy has a pick as well. and maybe you all have some picks in the chat. We'll hear all about it right after this message from our partners.
Football action continues.
Are you ready for this? Ready to take chances?
As the gridiron is taken over by the Great White North.
It's time to storm the fortress. It's time to fight on the battlefield.
Catch the Canadian Football League on CBS Sports Network.
We're back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. And I got to give a shout out to my guy, Eric David. He said, Sia, there's a lot of good Phils, not just Uncle Phil. He goes with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Hoffman, one of the greatest actors of all time, obviously gone way too early. Phil Hartman, another guy who's unbelievably funny, also gone too early. Phil Niekro, Phil Collins, and Phil Mickelson. That's a great Phil list. Impressive stuff. If there are any Phils we left out, let us know. And Proppy, do you have one?
Shout out to my grandmother, rest in peace, Phyllis.
Oh, we'll count it. Good if it goes. Shout out to Phyllis. Rest in peace indeed. All right. Well, we're going to make that awkward transition to my pick. And I think we know who's on the mound here. At least I'm pretty sure we know who's on the mound for the Diamondbacks. And that's what's really important to me. Because if you know anything about me, I bet on the Diamondbacks early in the year. They were kind of a team that I kind of liked. I like their bats. Well, their bats are warming up a bit. But I don't think I've ever bet on Ryan Nelson. I've been a fade on Ryan Nelson. I think what we're getting from San Francisco, and part of the reason you see some books with the pitcher up and some books that don't have the pitcher up is because it's going to be a bullpen game. I think it's Spencer Howard starting, a righty, which is notable against the Arizona Diamondbacks. You certainly don't want to be starting a lefty against them. I think we're going to see a bullpen game. Last time we saw Spencer Howard, he was pretty good. I mean, these bullpen games, it's not like they're throwing out bad arms necessarily. It's just guys that are going for maybe 1, 2, 3 innings only. Listen, this Diamondbacks team is heating up, but I am fading Ryan Nelson at a plus number. Some books don't have this first 5 number out, but our sponsor, BetMGM, they do, and it's at plus 105. So if you want to grab this number right now, grab it at BetMGM at plus 105. Some of the other major books, those lines will trickle out for sure. They'll probably be similar to this line, but I can't guarantee what it's going to be. Either way, you know what I do when Ryan Nelson's on the mound. I fade him. Really like the Giants in this spot on the road in Arizona. Give me Giants first 5 money line plus 105. All right. That's my play. Proppy, it's your turn. You've got a baseball play pretty clearly on this baseball Monday, and you're targeting. I just repped out the Orioles, and it feels like I'm not even sure. You might have changed this pick in the last 30 seconds just to target me. You're targeting an under with an Orioles pitcher. Go ahead.
I do, and I've got one more Phil I want to shout out, the New York Phil Harmonica. So another great Phil.
So crafty.
But I'm going to fade Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles. I'm going to go under 17.5 outs for G-Rod, who's been a really fine pitcher. But if we look at this number, it's actually a big number for Rodriguez. He's got some drastic home road splits that I'll get to in a second, but he's only eclipsed 17.5 outs one time this season. Or I guess I should say 18.5 out. The longest he's gone is 6 innings and a third. So this number is way closer to his ceiling compared to his floor. As I mentioned, some drastic home road splits as well. The ERA is almost 4 runs higher on the road. He's pitching north of the border in Toronto. If we look at his home road splits as well, he's failed to go over 17.5 outs in 3 of 4 road starts this season. 12 of 15 career road starts as well. 2 of those north of the border in Toronto. So I like this spot for Toronto's offense as well. They play well at home. And I agree with Amags. I think he could have a couple of walks here. I just think 6 innings, a lot would have to go right here. So love this spot, fading Grayson Rodriguez, under 17.5 outs on the road in Toronto. Tough spot here. First game of the series, under 17.5 outs, Grayson Rodriguez.
All right. Listen, I'm not going to say I like that play, but it seems probably like a pretty sharp play, Proppy. I only say that because of my Orioles allegiance. By the way, I didn't realize, Amags and Proppy, that there were so many Phils like in people's sort of mind frame. We got Punxsutawney Phil, which is absolutely fantastic. And of course, reminds us all of Groundhog Day. And Phil Dunphy from Modern Family.
Phil Knight.
A really good one too. Phil Knight, Nike. Nike founder, right, Proppy?
That's right. Oregon as well.
That's right. And we got the Philadelphia Phillies. Phil Jackson. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have to do like a top 10 ranking. Amags, what you got?
Well, we were already on the San Diego game. Their pitcher today is Matt Waldron. He's a knuckleballer. a very famous knuckleballer, Phil Niekro. So
Yes.
there you go.
Well, Amags, you weren't paying attention because Phil Niekro was already mentioned, but the knuckleball thing, people didn't necessarily know. So we appreciate.
We're talking about
angle.
Waldron in the chat. So that's what I was thinking about more.
Fair enough. All right. Absolutely love it. Wow. SportsLine. The SportsLine comments are always the best. And I can't forget this. Since the Matt Schramm says, since the World Series of Poker has just started, Phil Hellmuth and Phil Ivey. When I played in the World Series of Poker main event, Phil Hellmuth made this, and I was in sort of like the main room of like 6 or 7 huge auditorium type rooms during day one of the 2018 World Series of Poker main event. And Phil Hellmuth made this big entrance, and it was like filmed, and ESPN wanted to, he was all kind of doing what ESPN asked him to do. But that guy's got a head bigger than like.
Was this his Roman Emperor entrance for you?
Yes, it was the Roman Emperor entrance. Oh, wow. Does he do that all the time? Is that what
he does? A different entrance every time, but that was one of the more notable ones I remember.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was that one. Phil Ivey, that would be my favorite of the Phils in poker.
Phil Locke as well.
Oh, that's a good one. God, there's so many good Phils. And Vince says Phillies -1. Okay, don't we have to? Oh, real quick before we go to the recap screen. This Phil conversation makes me think we got to take the Phillies today. I don't even see the listed pitchers at this point, but maybe Phillies -1.5.
Zach Wheeler's on the mound.
Oh, it's Zach Wheeler. That's right.
So we got to go Phillies. Yeah, we got to go Phillies.
I think we got to go Phillies. Vince says -1.5 to take that juice down because the money line is -218. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get off the Phil train here. Let's go to Phil Collins. Good shout out there. Let's go to the recap screen. We have, first of all, we got my pick, of course, is the Giants' first 5 money line at plus money, plus 105. As of when this show started, this was offered at BetMGM. The other books were slow to get it up. They might have it up by now, but I'm not 100% sure. Props to BetMGM for getting these numbers out quicker than the other books. Amags, Hae-Sung Kim, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at another plus number, plus 120. And Grayson Rodriguez, over 1.5 walks at -121. That's tied in nicely with Propstarz pick. Grayson Rodriguez under 17.5 outs, -115. And then our SportsLine pick tonight, Padres money line, -122. Well, it was an intensive baseball show, but the rest of the week, we'll have more to talk about. Of course, baseball. We'll be talking a little soccer, I'm sure. We're going to be talking NBA finals. We've got our Futures Friday, which we're debuting over the next 8 weeks and beyond into NFL season, where we're going to be talking about division winners. We just talked about the NFC East. We'll just go down the board over the next 8 weeks and talk about the best value we can find in each division in terms of betting value. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about. That's the point. This isn't the dog days of summer. It's just summer. And we got a lot of bets to discuss, and we'll do it again tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thanks for being in here with us. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for all the Phils. I didn't know there were that many Phils out there. We got to do like an official top 5 or top 10. But for now, we'll go ahead and get out of here on behalf of Propstarz, on behalf of all the Phils out there in the galaxy, on behalf of Kalo, whose birthday it is today, and then, of course, Amags and Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. This is the Early Edge. I am the Counselor of Cash, and we rest our case.